Hello, I'm Cyrielle Griffiths and welcome to this special edition of Left Field Right Pitch, where we're going to be looking at the Nathan Cleverly boxing match tomorrow night, which is a very big occasion. Joining me here is boxing reporter Kieran Gibbons. Kieran, you've been looking at these two guys, Tony Bellew and Nathan Cleverly, for a long while. Give us a bit of the background, because this is one heck of a grudge match we've got going to be going on.
Yeah, the two guys originally fought in 2011 when Nathan Cleverly was the WBO light heavyweight champion. Tony was the challenger in that fight. Nathan won a majority points decision. That's two judges scored the fight for Nathan, one scored it even. It was an excellent fight. Tony Bellew disputes the decision. As you mentioned, they don't particularly like each other either.
That's putting it mildly.
That is putting it mildly. And it's just a natural fight to happen because they both were the same promoter now as well. It's a fight the fans love. The arena was sold out in 48 hours for this rematch. So it's a fight that had to happen. I
mean, it's not even a title fight, but as you say, it's been spurred on so much by the antics of the two of them. You know, at the end of Bellew's last fight, there was a bit of argy-bargy, and as you say, Bellew's been running his mouth off a bit, and Cleverly's, he's responded to that, I suppose, and that's generated all this interest.
Yeah, I mean, with Tony Bellew, I think whoever he fights, he always gets in a bit of an argument with. He always makes it a bit personal, and he sort of always gets involved in lots of nonsense.
He's a hothead.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Tony, over the years, since he first fought Nathan, he's got sick of being asked about Nathan Cleverly all the time, because people always associate Tony Bellew with Nathan, because Tony, for some reason, that's all he talks about is Nathan Cleverly. You see the various different interviews online, interviews on TV, on radio. He always gets asked about Nathan Cleverly, and you can see that really annoys him. It annoys him.
Was it a chip on the shoulder?
I think so, yeah. I mean, they were both Frank Warren fighters when they originally fought in 2011. But whereas Nathan was the guy whose career was given more path and more direction, and he had the right fights at the right time, whereas Tony Bellew was sort of given the leftovers. He was quite clearly the second ranked fighter amongst Frank Warren's light heavyweights. And I think that is something that really annoyed Tony Bellew as well. And it's probably annoyed him even more so that now both Nathan and Tony have moved to matchroom sport. And once again, I mean, Cleverly, you could argue, is the main cruiserweight there. Because if you look at the fight poster for this upcoming fight, it's Nathan Cleverly versus Tony Bellew. Nathan's got his name first on the poster.
Now, tell us a bit about Cleverly's background, because obviously it feels like such a long time ago, but it was only last year that he lost to Kovalev. And he was very frank in his interview with you, which we'll have coming on a bit later, where he said how much of an impact that had on him, not just as a boxer, but personally as well.
Yeah, in 2013, Nathan was hoping for a big fight. His name was linked with Bernard Hopkins quite a few times, but the big fight never really materialised. And I think Nathan struggled for motivation. And when the fight with Kovalev was offered, he grabbed it with both hands because it was his chance for a big fight. Kovalev was an up-and-coming fighter then. We didn't know how dangerous he was going to be. We didn't realise he was going to be actually as good as he was on the night. And as you said, I mean, from Nathan's point of view, everything went wrong that night for him. His tactics weren't great on the night. I think he was shocked by how hard Kovalev hit. I mean, Nathan's got in a habit, I think, of when he fought some lower level opposition, he got in the habit of taking punches he didn't have to take. And he took a lot of punches on his arms and on his gloves and sort of on the back of the head. Against lesser opponents, he could get away with that. But those bad habits come back to bite him in the Kovalev fight, because even when Kovalev was landing punches that didn't score on the judges' scorecards, every single punch was physically hurting Nathan, as Nathan told me in the interview, which we'll see later on.
So take us through what's happened to him since then, because he's had a lot of changes. He was being trained by his father, but then he moved away from him. Take us through what's happened to him in 2014.
Well, basically, there was a period where we didn't know if Nathan was going to box again. There was lots of rumours going around that he lacked the motivation, or he wasn't quite sure if his heart was still in it. He's got lots of other options. He's got a maths degree. He's a very clever guy, very articulate. He's got plenty of other things he could do apart from boxing. But then we heard a few rumours that Nathan was actually training up in London with Adam Booth, who is David Hayes' trainer, or was David Hayes' trainer at least, until fairly recently. That didn't work out. I mean, the reason that didn't work out, Nathan says, is because he didn't fancy being away from home for long periods of time. So Nathan came back to Wales, started training with Darren Wilson, who was his strength and conditioning coach, and I just think they worked well together. And Nathan asked Darren would he be his head coach. I mean, Darren hasn't got that much experience at the highest level of boxing. He's previously trained guys like Jason Cook and Jamie Arthur in British title fights and Commonwealth title fights, But this is a massive step up for Darren Wilson as a trainer as well, going into this fight with Nathan and Tony Bellew.
Well, speaking of which, you've been speaking to him, so maybe we can have a look at that now.
A lot of people, Darren, will recognise you now as Nathan Cleverley's trainer, but you actually been in the camp for a couple of years before you became his main coach.
Yeah, 3.5 years now, I was his strength and conditioning coach. Every world title. He's obviously lost that fight and upgraded me into his full coach.
What was the circumstances that led to you being sort of promoted to the position of main coach or head coach?
Nathan tried London, it didn't really like it there. He just basically liked home comfort. He knows that I work well with him. Both get on well with each other, and both believe in each other, and just making a good team of it. So far, so good.
Since this fight's been announced, what's Nathan's mood? What's Nathan's attitude like being in the training camp?
Brilliant. He's been spot on. He's been mentally on it since I took over really in March time. Just focused, very, very focused. Best mindset I've ever seen him.
How do you think Nathan manages to stay so cool and calm with all the sort of antics of Tony Bellew?
Basically, just stay focused really. Just concentrating on not losing too much energy and in like hatred really. So he just stays focused and just concentrate on the training. It's got to be done, all the media stuff, but just remain focused on the fight.
Going to fight night, how will you keep Nathan calm and how will you prepare him in the change room for the big fight? Same as always really. He's like, obviously I was in the corner with the last fight. He's calm as hell. There's 10,000 Liverpool fans. It was crazy up there, but he just kept calm and kept focused on the fight, and obviously done a job. So just keep it the same. And how do you see the fight going on fight night? Obviously Nathan win. Anyhow, I'd be surprised if Tony sees the final bell, but Nathan win, he's prepared for 12 rounds.
Well, that was Nathan Cleverley's new trainer, Darren Wilson, speaking to Kieran Gibbons. Kieran, do you think he's got enough experience to take Nathan through such a massive fight?
Well, I think with Darren and Nathan, there's a special bond between them. They seem to really work well together. Nathan's not a type of guy who likes to work in a big gym with lots of different boxers. A lot of boxers, they like to have in a gym full of their contemporaries, other guys training, whereas Nathan likes to train by himself. And with Darren, he's got that one-to-one training. I think they got a special bond there between them. They are actually similar age, which is very unusual with a trainer and a boxer. It's normally the trainer's much older than the boxer. And as I mentioned earlier, Darren has got experience in the corner. He's been involved in British title fights, European title fights, Commonwealth title fights. So he's got the experience, just not at the top level. And I think this is a massive opportunity for Darren Wilson as well to sort of make his mark as a trainer, because Nathan, in some of his previous fights at cruiserweight and some of his last few fights at light heavyweight, he was making a few basic mistakes. And I think a lot of people felt that Nathan could tighten up on a lot of things. So if in this fight Nathan is able to do that, then a lot of the credit will go to Darren, and Darren, as a trainer, will go up in a lot of people's estimation.
You mentioned cruiserweight. He's obviously stepping up from light heavyweight, and Darren Wilson's background is in strength and conditioning. Do you think that's a factor in making Nathan in such good shape? Because he is in heck of a good shape. He doesn't look like he's carrying weight. He looks in great shape.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were surprised. I was very surprised, actually, because there was a time, I'll tell you a little story. There was a time I was down interviewing Nathan for one of his previous light heavyweight fights, and Nathan said, right, I'm finished training, I'm going to go and get some dinner. So we went along to the local cafe, and Nathan had a massive pile of chips, and not chips, potato, chicken breasts, and this is sort of 2-3 weeks before a fight. So I thought to myself, no, Nathan, you can make light heavyweight quite easily here. So yeah, I was very shocked when he moved up to cruiserweight, but I think Nathan said he lacks the sharpness at light heavyweight. He can make the weight, just he lacked the sharpness to operate at the best of his ability. And that was the reason, I think, for the move up to cruiserweight.
So, Kieran, do you think that the move up to cruiserweight is kind of another way of erasing those memories of what happened with Kovalev?
I don't know. I think the only person who can honestly answer that is Nathan Cleverley. Nathan says he's moving up in weight because he doesn't operate at his best now, staying at light heavyweight. The move up to cruiserweight is the biggest jump in any weight division in boxing. He's more or less moving up 2 stone in weight. So it's a massive jump up in weight. The only person who can really answer that question is Nathan Cleverley. I think he feels he'll work better as a cruiserweight. He hasn't got to be so strict with his diet. I think he put a bit of muscle on, which he has clearly done. I mean, you can see clearly at his weigh-ins for his fights at cruiserweight, he's put a lot of muscle on, especially on his shoulder area, which he couldn't do at light heavyweight because he purposely kept his body mass down to make sure he made the weight division. But yeah, I mean, we were all very surprised, I think, when Nathan decided to move up to cruiserweight. But then again, the biggest fight out there for Nathan Cleverley is probably Tony Bellew. And Tony Bellew fights at cruiserweight, so maybe that's the reason.
Well, Kieran, you've been speaking exclusively to Cleverley on behalf of Made in Cardiff TV, so let's look at some of that footage where you talk about the Kovalev fight with him.
Nathan, after your loss to Kovalev, how did you feel emotionally, and what was your attitude towards boxing in general?
After Kovalev, it was a big defeat for me, my first career defeat. So, I took it hard originally, because being a winner and all of a sudden having my first crushing defeat, it hit me hard, and initially definitely, I was a bit gutted and it took me a while to get over it, but you've got to get over it. It's life, in life you get setbacks, in professional sport especially, and in boxing, so it's how you come back. That's what defines a champion then. How you come back after a defeat, and I'm up and running again now. I took a bit of time out, prepared for the cruiserweight division, and here we are.
Simple question: how hard does Kovalev hit?
Very hard. I've fought and sparred big punchers and good fighters in the past, and in the gym I've sparred heavyweights and good fighters. Kovalev is just a different league compared to all of them. His punch power is nothing I felt before. I haven't felt that before. I just, how can a human being at light heavyweight punch so hard? It was freakish power. And he's gone on to show that by knocking everyone out since he's fought me. And he's one of them. He's like a Gennady Golovkin. Those two are a different breed.
You're watching a Nathan Cleverley special on Left Field Right Pitch with myself and Kieran Gibbons. More from Nathan Cleverley after this short break. You're watching a Nathan Cleverley Left Field Right Pitch special on Made in Cardiff TV. Joining me is boxing reporter Kieran Gibbons. Now, Kieran, you've been speaking exclusively to Nathan Cleverley on behalf of Made in Cardiff TV. What do you think the tactics are going to be for tomorrow night?
Well, Nathan's first two fights at cruiserweight, his tactics were very basic, and I think he didn't really take advantage of any of his natural attributes. He just pretty much walked up to his opponent, planted his feet and hit them as hard as he could. And
so he didn't really box then, as
no,
such?
he didn't box at all. Whether that's a tactic he's used to try and lull Tony Bellew into a false sense of security, we don't know. But I think if he employs those tactics tomorrow night against Tony Bellew, he's just going to be giving away his most natural advantage, which is his speed, his boxing ability.
And his long reach.
Yeah, I mean, actually, the reach is pretty similar. I think Tony got a slight advantage in height. But Nathan's the faster guy. He gets his punches off faster. He got good footwork. And that's the key for Nathan. He can't afford to sort of stand in front of Tony and just throw in big punches, because he just allows Tony to plant his feet to get Tony's bigger punches off. I mean, that probably at cruiserweight, I think it's fair to say that Tony is probably the harder puncher. So the key for Nathan to win the fight, I think, is to try and use his jab. I mean, that's the key. Get his jab working early on in the fight. If he can get his jab working, then that'll bring his right hand into play, also his combinations, and also just throw your combinations, move your feet left to right, a little bit of lateral movement. Keep Tony moving his feet, stop Tony loading up on his big punches.
Now, as we've been mentioning, you've been speaking to Nathan Cleverley exclusively for Left Field Right Pitch. Let's go to that footage now.
Your upcoming fight with Tony Bellew, the media are focusing on the mutual dislike between you both. Why does Tony Bellew dislike you so much? You always come across as very polite, very down-to-earth, very nice guy. Why doesn't Tony Bellew like Nathan Cleverley?
Why does he dislike me? He absolutely hates me, mate. He wants to hurt me bad, big time. He hates me, and it all stems from the first fight, you know, and I beat him in Liverpool in the first fight, and he's never got over that defeat. He's still bitter from that. You know, he was in Liverpool. He thought it was all for him that night. We was both Frank Warren fighters at one stage, and I was the main light heavy, and he hated that. And that's the real reason. You know, I'm in his way. I stopped him from going on to collect the titles that I had, and by doing that, I stopped him from earning a lot of money. You know, because I was in his way. I was his big rival. And he knows that. He's not stupid. He knows I prevented him from doing all that. And that's why he hates me.
And is it mutual? Do you hate Tony, or do you just... How would you describe your feelings for Tony Bellew?
Maybe I don't hate him, but I dislike him a lot. I do dislike him a lot. You know, I don't want to waste my emotion on Tony Bellew. I don't want to hate him because it eats away at you. I'm wasting energy. And he doesn't deserve that. You know, but I dislike the guy a lot, an awful lot. You know, I just hate the way he looks. I hate the way he talks. I just hate his big mouth, the way he runs his mouth. It's fair to say I really dislike him.
On your recent press tour, you know, you had press conferences in Liverpool, press conferences down here in Cardiff. You've also been on doing the Sky circuit as well. How difficult has it been, or has it been difficult for you to keep your cool with some of Tony's comments and his antics? It's
been okay keeping my cool. You know, I think at this stage in life, you know, 27 years of age, quite experienced now in the sport of boxing, I should be able to conduct myself, you know, and I conducted myself no problem. You know, I just enjoyed the moment and not get ate up by what he's got to say. You know, he runs his mouth and disrespects you, but that's his bad. You know, I feel sorry for him if that's the emotions going through his head, if he hates someone that much. You know, it's I'll leave him do all that. I just stayed calm. And it's part of the boxing business, you know, the press conferences, the build-up, and I enjoyed it. You know, I enjoyed it. A bit of fire, a little bit of rivalry. You know, you can't beat that, especially going into a fight. It just fuels you, and it's part of the fight game. Just enjoyed the whole experience.
What sort of things have you been working on for the rematch with Tony, you know, without going into the exact tactics or anything?
It's pretty much, since I moved up to the cruiserweight division, I've just kept my training schedule the same all the way through, you know, consistent, a bit more strength training, because I can now, because I'm a cruiserweight. My diet's a bit better, I'm eating better, and training with Darren, you know, it's just consistent, it's just us two, you know, working on different things, and just carry that into the Bellew fight. It's worked for the first two cruiserweight fights. There's no reason why it can't work for the Bellew fight.
How are you going to cope with the crowd and the hostility and the? I know you're going to bring a lot of fans there, but it's obviously going to be probably at least 70% Tony Bellew fans.
Well, it's you know, we originally agreed for Sheffield, believe it or not, and I believe Tony Bellew was sulking when it was in Sheffield. He had a little sulk. He doesn't like to admit that, you know, but I know, I've heard, I got told he was sulking because it was in Liverpool. But Kell Brook got injured, that scuppered the whole show. Boom, back to Liverpool. And I agreed to it. I got no problem with going back to Liverpool. I've done it before, mate. You know, I went into Liverpool 24 years of age. You know, I was still a youngster in terms of professional boxing. World champion, defending my world title. Went there, no issues, got the job done. Exactly the same this time. Get up there, booed or cheered. Wouldn't surprise me if I'm cheered. I think I'm liked more than him actually in Liverpool. And just do the business again.
And what type of fight can we expect on the 22nd from yourself and Tony Bellew? I
think a similar fight to the first fight. I think we're both the same fighters. It's just we're bigger now. So a similar fight to the first fight, but more explosive. We're bigger. We're both punching harder. So I think a similar but more explosive fight. I think something's going to have to give in this fight. I just can't see it going 12 rounds. You know, not at this weight, not cruiserweight, and the way we fight, the emotion involved. Something's going to have to give. And
I know I'm looking a little bit in advance here, but coming through the fight with Tony on the 22nd, what's next after that fight for you? Is that something you've planned?
Yeah, we hopefully, you know, all goes well, all goes to plan, and it's some big fights out there. You know, Marco Hector stated he would like the winner, so that'd be a great fight. He's probably the best champion out there at the moment, real good fighter. So that would be the most exciting fight out there. Maybe not the easiest, but the most exciting. Or any of the other champions, you know, maybe Juan Pablo Hernandez is a good shout, based in Germany, provided he comes through Afalabi. Either of them two guys, I would say.
And is it safe to say now that you're starting to actually enjoy boxing again? Because it seemed like a little period where it seemed almost a bit of a hassle, a bit of a you weren't quite enjoying boxing the way you should be.
Yeah, I'm enjoying boxing again. I'm enjoying it again. You know, it's I went to a stage where I got a little bit stale. You know, it was just the same thing, got a bit monotonous. You know, promotional wise, it was okay, but nothing was really running smoothly. So. But I'm through it now. I'm through that dark cloud, and it's I'm in a good place again. And I think that's where I need to be to bring out my best performance.
Kieran, we were chatting a couple of weeks ago, and I asked you predictions then, and you said something very interesting. You said, "Now that I've seen him sparring, I really think that Nathan's going to win." I thought that was an interesting comment.
Yeah, when I interviewed Nathan, I mean, I've interviewed him probably half a dozen times before. A lot of his fights, like heavyweight fights, before he actually became world champion. And this training camp is the best I've seen him mentally. I mean, physically, he's always in great shape. He's a world-class athlete. But mentally, this is the most positive I've seen him. This is the most keen. I just can't describe it. There's a spark there. Nathan, I don't know whether it's working with Darren. I don't know whether it's because he's on a big fight on Sky TV again. I don't know what it is exactly. But Nathan's got his spark back and his love for boxing.
Because that was one of the issues, wasn't it? Did he fall out of love with it at one point? That's what people were saying.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've watched Nathan train many times, and he just got in the routine of it. It wasn't exciting to him anymore. It was very routine. He was just running through the motions without any sort of real thought. But this fight, and perhaps just a new trainer, has given him the spark back in boxing for him. So
you're not sitting on the fence. It's a win for him, but what sort of a win is it going to be?
Well, I didn't say I wasn't sitting on the fence. But I think if Nathan boxes like he can box, then I think he should win on points. If he decides to plant his feet and just try and slug it out with Tony Bellew, then, as I said earlier, he's given away his natural advantage. And then it's a 50-50 fight. So if Nathan boxes, I think he wins on points. If he just plants his feet and tries to slug it out, then it's toss a coin. Anyone can win.
And what kind of impact is the crowd going to have? Because obviously it's in Tony Bellew's backyard, and they're not going to give Nathan an inch, are they?
I think it's going to be very intimidating for any Welsh boxing fans up there. But probably the safest place is going to be actually in the boxing ring where Nathan is.
Well, it might be quite safe in the press box, and let's hope it is, because you're going to be back next week, aren't you, reviewing
I'll be there. Hopefully I'll get some footage from the press conference and get some comments from both boxers. Might even be able to film them having a hug and an embrace and making up after all the nasty comments.
I can't see that happening. Can you really?
You never know. This is boxing. A lot of stuff gets said before a fight, a hyper fight. So it would be nice if they did.
You've been watching a very special edition of Left Field Right Pitch right here on Made in Cardiff TV. And being that we are a Cardiff station, we're not even going to pretend to be neutral. So good luck, Nathan. We know you can do it. We'll be back with more next Thursday night at 9 o'clock. Bye-bye.